Hey there, guys. Are you sick of Dark Visions 26 yet? Because I know I certainly am. So, about an hour ago, I recorded a pretty angry video about the way some players were changing their account name to the same as mine and what that could potentially, suggest, etc. Since then, I have spoken to the people that had done it. So it was Ubonic and Liv Dilly. Now, I do want to clarify a few things. I did speak to them, and they weren't intending it to be any kind of like something to get me in trouble. They weren't intending to mislead anyone, like to suggest that I was using the bugs, etc. They were intending it as like a joke. Now, I will say that I still feel that the joke was in poor taste and they didn't really think about what it could mean. But they weren't like trying to get me in trouble or something like that. I know a few people in the previous video, they made comments suggesting that people were trying to get me banned or something. That, I definitely do not think that was the case. They weren't trying to get me in trouble. And the reason I got so upset about it, and I do think it was a really poorly thought out joke, is because people that watch my content frequently, a whole bunch of viewers are familiar with my units and the teams that I use, and if they, for example, went to the leaderboards and saw an account named Senzar at a much higher than I could realistically hit, they would kind of draw the conclusion, well, this score is impossible for Senzar's units. I watch his videos all the time. I know what units he has. There's no way he could have gotten the score. Did Senzar maybe decide to use the cheat and get a higher score? And that's what got me so upset, is the idea that people would see this. It was probably intended as a joke, but they would see this. Like, let me go ahead and show you. So I went ahead and digged up some screenshots. So I found this in Discord, posted earlier. It was a screenshot of the leaderboards before people changed their names. And as you can see, Ubonic and Liv Dilly have a 2 million score because both of them are, they're high-ranked Dark Visions players. They always have been. They have a bunch of good units, etc. But after they apparently tried to make a joke, they named their account Senzar, and so someone that wasn't like doesn't know what's going on, they could definitely go to the leaderboards tomorrow or something and see a high score, and then assume that I was using the bug after just going on a big thing about how I'm not going to use the bug. So that's the reason I got so upset, is because, they definitely probably didn't intend to send that message, but at least the way I see it, that's how some people could easily have misinterpreted it and then assume that I was exploiting, because they would see an account named Senzar, even with the same, one of my favorite units as their unit leader, Sephiroth, because I love Sephiroth. Anyway, the point is, they could see, and they might not notice there's two Senzars, which would kind of send a red flag, like, oh, there's two Senzars, something fishy is going on here. But they could see this, and they would assume that, I decided to use the bug, because there's no way that with my unit, EX2 Riku, etc., I could get this high of a score, because I can't. There's no way I could without using a bug that I'm not going to, and I haven't. Anyway, that's the reason it got me so frustrated and I got so angry, because people could easily read it the wrong way, and that really upset me. And while I after talking to them, I do think that neither one of them intended for this to be the outcome. They were just thinking, oh, haha, it'd be a funny joke. If you sit down and think about it, you can really see how it's not that funny. But it wasn't. I definitely don't think they were intending to be malicious. There you go. So anyway, I really wanted to say that, but also in my previous video where I was really fired up at the time. I was really angry because it had just recently happened, and I was very upset because I didn't want people thinking I was using a glitch. But during that, it kind of, because I was complaining about these scores being so high and using a bug, it kind of, you could read into it me saying that they used a bug to get this high of a score. So that's also a part of this clarification, is I am not saying they used a bug. So I talked to LiveDilly and Ubonic. Let's go ahead and show their real accounts before they change their name. Because, by the way, once you change your account name, you can't change it back for 2 weeks. You're locked into that account name for 2 weeks. So unfortunately, they're probably going to change their account name back. They realize this was a very poor taste joke, and I would assume after talking to them, they're not going to keep the name as Sinzar. But the game only allows you to change the name every 2 weeks. So for the next 2 weeks, they are stuck with the account name Sinzar. They can't change it back until 2 weeks from now. But anyway, let's go ahead and just swap this back here. So anyway. I did speak to both of them, and I really wanted to clarify that I am not calling them cheaters. What I was saying was, in order for me, with my personal units, to get this level of score, I would have to cheat to get this high. But these scores are possible to obtain with really powerful, really well-geared units, and I did ask them to, so I could clear their name, because I don't want the wrong information getting out there. The same reason I was upset about people thinking I cheated. I don't want people to think they cheated if they didn't. So, I asked them to show me so I could clear their name for a screenshot. LiveDilly didn't have one of his clear, but Ubonic did. So Ubonic gave me this screenshot of his team, his clear. He was using a legitimate clear. It's not a Riku clear, and I did ask him if it's okay to share this. He's using the Behemoth tag chaining strategy, which is very, very high end. You need really well geared EX3 units to make it this level of score. But I mean, that's the typical rank 1 player in Dark Visions, is you have all those units and gear, and you can get the crazy scores. So here was an example of his clear that allowed him to get 2,009,307 score, and LiveDilly used the same team. Obviously got a slightly lower variance roll, which is why the score is lower. But and yeah, the top players are apparently using all the same team. D-Money, Robot DA, they're all using the same really, really well geared Behemoth strategy, which is tag chaining. And it's Dark Visions is almost over, and I usually don't try to share other people's strategies because they may not want them shared. But it's almost over at this point, and I did ask permission to share this screenshot, and he said okay, because I definitely don't want it to seem like I'm calling out them as cheaters, but at the same time, I don't want anyone else thinking I'm a cheater either, which is why I got so frustrated and upset that they changed their name. I don't want to go in circles saying the same thing over and over, but so there it is. I just really wanted to clarify. I did speak to them. They did apologize. They realized that the joke was not really well thought out. Unfortunately, their account name is stuck as Sinzar for 2 weeks. They're probably going to they didn't say this, but I'm pretty sure they're going to change it back as soon as they can in 2 weeks. But yeah, so yeah, it's a real bad situation. I probably should have waited to post my video until I cooled down a little bit, but I was pretty irritated because it could really send the wrong impression to someone that doesn't know what was going on. They would go. I'm going in circles at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video. I just really wanted to clarify. So they didn't do it. They didn't do it with the intention of misleading people or getting me in trouble. That was not their intent. They thought it was a joke. It was a poor joke. Wasn't well thought out, but it didn't have bad intent. And when I was complaining about score being too high, I was talking about my personal score could not reach this, but for the usual players that get top 10 in Dark Visions every single month, this is a typical scoring for them. So I don't want it to seem like I was calling their scores out as being illegitimate. Anyway, there's the clarification. Hopefully, in a few hours, this Dark Visions closes and we can all forget it ever existed, because this Dark Visions is just one nightmare after another. I'm ready for it to go away. All right, see you later.